Oh, ears. That's important. No, 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 no. Not doing that without ears. 3.42. It's pretty good. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Toting Minnesotan. Today it looks like fall. It is fall, but we got some snow and it feels like winter out. And I'm gonna do a few rounds practicing with my ZeroTech Micro Reflex dot. So this sight right here on my Shield, this is the Shield Plus. It's a little bit newer model of Shield. If you had one of those Gen 1s, this is the next one up. A little bit different trigger and stuff. And it also has a cut for an optic. And thankfully, ZeroTech had an optic that would fit for that. So that's really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and run this on a timer for a little bit, as long as my battery lasts anyways, in the cold. This is a newer setup to me. I've only gotten into my first 400 or 500 rounds right around there. And so reliability, absolutely. I've done lots of testing with almost exclusively carry ammo because I just wanted to know how reliable it was. I was getting used to the dot because that's new for me. This is the first dot that I've owned on my own carry gun. So it's kind of a transition point for me. It's going pretty well, but I'm gonna go slow motion because I have lots of layers on. I haven't been wearing layers like this. There's just a lot of things to take into consideration, but I'm gonna focus on that dot and the performance and what a genuinely new red dot shooter on a pistol platform experiences, thinks, and feels about it. So you'll get a really fresh perspective is what I'm saying. Warm my fingers and here we go. Something you might have noticed there is, again, going slow motion. We're not trying to go crazy John Wick fast and shoot ourselves or get hurt. A couple things you'll notice is that I'm wearing several layers. Okay, so I have a sweater, I have another sweater under that, I have a t-shirt under that, I have this vest, and this anorak that I'm wearing is kind of an awkward, tight thing, and it's got these little slinky bungee pieces down here. If I can just show you right here, this right here, people have shot themselves not being careful about things like that when they reholster. So when you watch me on my channel, yes, I go slow. I tend not to reholster without actually taking my eyes off and looking down here. Honestly, if you're in a situation where you need to use a pistol defensively, whether it's a bear or a person or whatever it is, reholstering without looking is not as important as people think it is. I don't have a rifle. I'm not doing transitioning drills. I'm not looking at my threat and staying in the same position. With a pistol, I'm hopefully making distance, using my pistol if I have to, and then getting out of the way or out of that area. And so I'm not so concerned with my pistol going back in there without looking and looking cool. I'm more concerned about very practically not shooting myself in the femoral artery. And so I look when I reholster. A couple things I picked out there. It's my first run of the day, the first 5 rounds of the day. I'm gonna tell you, I like this pistol. I'm gonna have to do a review comparing this pistol against some of my other carry pistols. It is slightly smaller. The carry amount might be 1 round less, but it's really close. The optic, now the optic has not shifted in the last several hundred rounds. It's been solid. I don't have any movement or flex or anything. It sits in there perfectly, and I had the right hardware and I was careful about that. So mounting is very important. Zeroing, it's real good. I'm only shooting at 15 yards. I think that's a realistic carry distance. I know a lot of engagements happen within that 8-yard distance. So with a dot size like this, I'm actually using about a dot like that, and I'm engaging that dot. And I'm so used to picking up irons. That's the way that I had shot for, I don't know how many rounds now, over 50,000 rounds. And with all this close on, the tight close, it was taking me about 2.1 seconds to clear the garment, pull the pistol out, and shoot that target at 15 yards. And my pattern down there, I could show you in a second, my pattern down there is about that big. So what is that, 3 inches? Something like that. We'll look at it down there. The dot is keeping me in that area very consistently, and it's not slowing me down excessively, even though I'm newer to it. I think I'm still learning to pick up the dot, in my initial session, but as I practice, each session I'm getting faster and faster with a dot, and the brightness, the contrast, like I have this bright snow around me. If you can't tell, a little bit of sun that way, really bright. And as far as contrast goes, on my target, on the white snow, on the green grass, there's a little bit of maroon right there, some brown dirt. Contrast is really good, brightness is absolutely appropriate. Dot size, this is something I'm learning about. I'm not an expert. I'm going to tell you, I like the dot size. It's very, very crisp, and I am just finding that it matches well with the kind of things I would want to aim at. If I'm aiming really, really fast and I'm trying to go those John Wick speeds and I just want to hit a target, it's not been that difficult for me to see the dot really quickly and press a trigger. If I want to take a little more precise shot, that's one thing I'm loving about a red dot on a pistol, is taking a more precise shot. Aiming at a very small 1-inch square here at 15 yards, putting the dot on it, pressing the trigger really intentionally, and getting nice hits down there. I should probably do a little more of that today as well. But the dot is much more precise. It's just like the long guns that I shoot, some of those ZeroTech precision optics. They have that real small center dot that you can put on something and aim precisely. So I'm liking this a lot for that reason right there, is it's got flexibility between quick engagement, quick acquisition, seeing the contrast on the target, and then also being able to take a more precise shot if I needed to. And surprisingly, with this little pistol, I'm gaining confidence quickly. It's pretty good. Not bad. All right, when I was drawing in that under 2 seconds, was it 2.1 seconds? Yeah, about 2.1 seconds. This is where I was firing. So that's 5 rounds at 15 yards. And then moving down, this was what I just did, controlled fire, just taking my time and being a little bit more precise. And I would say that is a really good group for me. Even with my compact, I know there's a little fly in there. Off to the, let's see, from your perspective, is that off to the right? That's a little bit of a flyer, but I'm really okay with that at 15 yards with a subcompact pistol and a new dot that's new to me. There's 3 in the same hole, then a 4th next to it, and the 5th is not terribly far off. That's a 1-inch square at 15 yards. I'm really, really okay with that. And just the amount of effort it took to be precise was not as much as usual, because I wasn't aligning as many things. I was putting a dot on the target and pulling the trigger. Now that red dot had a really good contrast even against this red-orange marker that I have, or this dot on the paper. So that's impressive too. I'm really liking this, and I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to just update all my pistols now. I have to give a quick shout out to Vanguard. So I was having trouble figuring out a way to shoot my pistol, and they sent me out this tripod that also has a clamp head. I'm gonna be doing a full review on this, but this was game-changing for me. I could not find a way to do this optic, kind of review and overview very well. I wanted to be able to shoot off my bag and some of my other tripods. It just wasn't staying, it wasn't consistent, and this was the tool I needed for the job. And this is a really good tripod. Again, there will be a review coming about this pretty soon, but right now I'm going to focus on shooting off the top of this thing, and that's how I'm accomplishing this shot. Thank you to Vanguard. Due to the nature of cameras and the way that they focus and some of those settings, it's going to be difficult for me to have everything in focus at the same time. And so I think what I'll do is I'll focus the dot so you can get the best experience there. I want to give you a feel of what it's like to shoot this. Unfortunately, I do have to shoot it one-handed for this part of the review. Forgive me if my follow-up shots are not John Wick fast, but I'm going to do my best here to go ahead and get it focused for you to have the experience and see what it feels like to see through that window right now. All right, so I want to show you a couple different things here. First of all, I am focused right now on the dot itself, and I'm holding it on a target that's at about roughly 12 yards from right here. And you can see that it contrasts really well, even against that green. The red dot, even though it's not at its full brightness, is contrasting very, very well. It's big enough for me to put it on that red dot quickly to acquire the target. And it's also precise enough and tight enough, especially with my naked eye. It's much tighter and even brighter with my naked eye. But I can hold it on that center dot so I can take a precise shot, which is very, very important to me. I want the ability to do both. And with iron sights, it would take me a little longer because I would have to line up multiple things. But with this dot right here, I'm getting contrast, I'm getting sharpness, and I'm also getting a target picture in a window that's big enough to make that happen quickly. So I'm just going to move this around a little bit, just so you can see against the cardboard there. And maybe if I move over to the grass for a second, you can see, and let's bring it up to 100. Up there at 100 yards, that's really not bad. I mean, I can actually take a precise shot on something at distance, and the window is plenty enough. I think that's a pretty significant sized window that I can get away with. And I'm on a subcompact, remember. It's a small pistol with a big window and certainly a bright dot. Overpulled it on that last trigger pull for sure. So that's a target behind me. And that's a pumpkin. This is the Shield Plus. It's the newer one, and I'm liking it a lot. Awesome trigger on this guy. Awesome dot on the pistol. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it through the camera, but I'm gonna go ahead and shoot that pumpkin a few times here and see what kind of holes it can make. I'm gonna start off pretty close at like defensive ranges, 10 yards. Put a couple holes in it. I'm just using a 124 grain hollow point from Freedom Munitions. They are an awesome brand, like them a lot. This dot has been very, very bright, whether it's in daylight or low light. And I'm in lower light right now. Looks really good, contrasts nicely on that pumpkin, but I'll shut up and throw a couple rounds downrange. It's blowing pumpkin all over me. So I did a pretty good job, actually. Really hollowed that thing out from this angle. One thing I discovered while I was shooting, it's like, man, that's doing a lot of damage down there. Those hollow points are really opening up. That's because I forgot to trade out my magazine, and I was shooting my defensive ammo, and it obliterated the back of this pumpkin. I've been shooting pumpkins for a little while, just have some extras sitting around, and this is definitely some pretty significant damage. The red dot made it just super easy. Getting those, even the entrance wounds look pretty good. There's some 300 blackout next to it. That was subsonic, didn't really do anything. But the actual 9mm 124 grain carry ammo from Norma did awesome. And now I need to buy more. So as a person who's learning to shoot on a dot, I think it was more of a mental thing for me. I realized that I'm still pointing the gun the same way in the same time. And this is a new pistol and a new optic for me at the same time. So I'm kind of learning them both together. I'm still under 500 rounds with the pistol as a whole. And so putting the optic on there and learning how to point naturally and all that, I'm getting there. I'm getting there with that. Learning how to draw safely from this particular holster. It's all new. But I'm going to tell you, I'm surprised at how quickly I'm picking up the dot. I've shot my friends' dots on other pistols, a lot of Glock 34s, a lot of Glock 19s, and just trying out their dot to see what I think of it, and I've done okay with it. I usually had a little bit of trouble finding the dot on certain types of optics, and this I'm just really pleasantly surprised that it's not giving me the challenge I thought it would. Being that it is a smaller footprint and a smaller form factor, I wasn't sure how that would work with this pistol and target sizes, but I can't see any difference between the bigger windows and this one as far as hits on target. I feel like I'm doing just fine. So I'll go ahead and throw a couple down and hopefully get some hits on steel. I'm not going to go crazy fast because it's a new pistol, a new optic, a new holster, and I am safe. All right, here we go. I've really enjoyed using this optic and learning how to use red dots on pistols. This optic, remember, will fit on not just the M&P Shield Plus like you saw here in the review, it will actually fit on other pistols that have the cut for the RMSc footprint. The Thrive HD Micro Reflex has a few specifications I want to go over for those of you who maybe aren't 100% sure what this is comparable to. So here's some of the stats. It has a 3 MOA red dot. The brightness settings on the left and right side for up or down in brightness, there's 10 adjustable levels that are going to cater to various environments, whether you have a pistol light on or not, whether it's very bright outside or not. As far as durability, I know people are going to wonder about that, and I would trust my life to this optic. I think it's very, very tough. I think the minimal bezel is nice. It's a nice big window for what it has, but it does seem tough. And I've noticed that this is recoil proof, waterproof, and fog proof. It does get a little dusty sometimes and I have to clean it out, but that's pretty normal with anything like this that's not an enclosed reflex sight. The battery life boasts an incredible 150,000 hours. That's max, but even if it was half that, I'd be very impressed because that's running off of a CR2032 battery. In optics like this, coatings and glass matter a lot, and I did not see a distorted image. In fact, it just looked pretty true, in my opinion. There's a slight color variation there, and that's probably a good thing that there's at least a little color variation. The coating is working. The multi-layered coating that they're putting on there helps a little bit with fingerprint scratches, so things can rub off quickly, water can come off. I did get mine accidentally, pretty much dumped in the snow. Don't ask me how that happened, but it cleaned off, wiped off really well, and I did not suffer from glares in the glass, which is very important. I had the sun in multiple directions as I was shooting and testing this optic out on many days. I didn't have issues with glare, so it always looked true and clear, and that's a good sign that in a self-defense scenario or time when you really need to count on this, you're not going to be having issues with the quality of the glass or the image itself. It can operate from -4 Fahrenheit up to 158 Fahrenheit, and the weight, check this out, the weight is only 0.67 ounces. Very, very lightweight, which matches well on the pistol that I'm running. This is a low footprint, low weight setup, and I will actually carry it. That matters a lot, guys. You won't carry things that are too big or bulky or heavy. Over time, you'll give up on that. And so for me, this has been pretty much the ideal optic and pistol combo, whether it's summer or winter here in Minnesota. In the box, you're going to get the optic itself, a rubber protective cover, a microfiber lens, hex keys for sight attachment, and mounting screws. There's 3 different sets. I can highly recommend this. Obviously, I'm running it on my own pistol, and once again, I just want to remind you, I trust this optic with my life. ZeroTech has proven itself to be a reliable company, producing higher and higher quality gear, and this isn't their only red dot, so check out their website if you're curious or you want to see something like this, but maybe just a little bit different.